Hello record freaks, it's the Danish record hunter here, and today we're gonna be talking about a Danish rock band that never received the recognition they deserved, and they are called Liza.
Keep on rocking and you can't go down. Keep on telling me you know what it's about. Keep on saying that I'm just a fool. Come on, baby, stop playing cool.
So, to talk about Liza's history, they actually were founded all the way back in 1967, but under a different name. Back then they were named Crowd. They actually released a single in 1970. Today it's very rare and very expensive, but that's pretty much the start of the band. They later on changed their name to E, and then they morphed into what is known as Liza in 1971. The band was actually originating from the city called Aalborg, which is based in northern Jutland in Denmark. So Liza was a rock band with international appeal. They were writing their songs in the English language, and they actually was really close to make it. Especially back here in Denmark, they were like going to be the next big thing. That never really happened. They were actually supporting big groups from, Bachman Turner Overdrive from Canada. They were supporting them at shows, and Nazareth from Scotland, and Kinks from England. So when they were visiting Denmark, Liza was the support act. Like in my last video talking about Barbarella, in this video I will be talking about the album from start to finish. So we'll start with the first track, and then we'll go to the last track, and I will say a little thing about every song on the album. So let's get started. The album kicks off with the rock song that is called That's What You Better Do. You've heard it in the intro of the video, and it's a really cool rock song, and it's a very promising start to the album. So don't get disappointed when I'm telling you this. If you're thinking you're gonna listen to a heavy rock album because that's what this opening track is suggesting, the album is kind of smoothing out on the next coming tracks, but this is a fine opener to the album. I really like this track myself, and it's just a cool rock song. I should mention that there's two guitarists in the band. There's Peter Brander and there's Per Møller, and both of them are really doing a great job on the album, especially Peter Brander. He's really a guitar hero that is not talked about very often. He appeared in some later albums from the 70s by different bands. Also, he kept the flame alive in Liza on the 3 albums that they made.
Every day, miss you more and more. What's the point? Tell me, what is the score?
So here's what I'm talking about with the band smoothing out their sound a little bit. From the first kind of rock song that is suggesting that this is a heavy rock album. Sweet Stuff is some fairly melodic funk rock, like soft rock in a way. And that's also what I would say about lots of the album. It has this soft rock feel to it. It's a rock album, of course, but it's more like commercial and an album to chill out to. Per Møller, who was the second guitarist, he really has a gifted voice, and you can hear it in this track and all the following tracks. He really mastered the English language. like a few could do it back in Denmark at the time. And to think that this album, this band was based in Jutland, I think that most Danish people, they would actually kind of underestimate the stuff that came out of Jutland at the time. But Jutland was really spawning some very awesome rock bands, and I think that Liza was maybe the one band from Jutland that could really have made it big with the sound that they had. And you know, if you have a band with a vocalist like Per Møller, then what can go wrong? But things didn't work out for the band, of course. He really has a voice that is just raising the brilliance of whatever song here on the album. Even the tracks that I wouldn't usually like by a band, I like it here because the voice of Per Møller is just, it's really brilliant. He is really, I would say, one of the best Danish vocalists to master the English language. I would say another guy is Hans Lauritsen from Mo i Rana, this band right here.
So if you fall in love, you are lost, my friend. There ain't nothing you can do. There ain't nowhere you can go. So now you know, yes you know. What would you do? What would you do? What would you do?
That brings us to the first real ballad on the album, What Would You Do? I think it's a good ballad, you know. When you have Per Møller singing a ballad passionately with his soulful vocals, what can go wrong? So I think this fits. So the last track of the A-side is more like a straight rock track, has a blues feel to it, still commercial. I wouldn't say that this one is my favorite track, but it's cool. You know, as to have it among the other tracks here, it's not a track that I am waiting to hear, but when it's there, it's nice. I'm okay with it. So the B-side kicks off with Bad Bad Thing, and this one is, I would say, a very nice rock track. It has a guest performance by the Danish guitarist called Niels Tuxen. He played earlier on in the Savage Rose. He mastered the pedal steel guitar and was considered kind of a virtuoso on this instrument. And he also, I think, really added the country flavored feel of this track. Listening to this song, I actually think it reminds me of the UK group called Stray. Now, Stray released a couple of heavy rock albums in the early 70s, but then they smoothened out a bit. And I think this track, and I would say a lot of the album, reminds me of this period in Stray. From Mudanzas to Move It, and later on to the later albums in 1976. They released two albums, I think one of them Houdini. Was it Hearts of Fire, the other one? I really think that this album sounds like the stuff released by Stray at the time. And that also brings me to the thought of, this album doesn't sound like a debut release by a rock band. It sounds like the album a band would probably release like 4 to 5 years into their career. Most bands would start out with something a little bit more gritty and aggressive, where this one has already been smoothened out a bit. And that's just the thought that I had about it.
Stuck in the middle with you. Oh, you make my feelings so fine. Feeling so fine. Yeah.
Well, here I am. It's another ballad. It's more like romantic. It has some sax playing. I think it's a nice kind of soft rock ballad. And of course Per Møller, he sings very beautifully on it. So that brings us to the last 2 tracks on the album. And you can see them as 2 different tracks, 2 separated tracks, but I actually see them as one big epic. So you will have the first like ballad part, which is called Progression, and then you will have the more epic structured song that is called And We Blew. But let's hear a little bit of Progression. I must say, Per Møller, he could really sing with passion and soul, and you can hear it in this piano ballad. It's very beautiful. And it's a great intro to what is about to come, which is the track called And We Blew. This more like epic, progressive, structured song. And I would say, in parts, it really reminds me of Uriah Heep, because they actually added some kind of falsetto harmonies to the song. So yeah, it has a Uriah Heep feel in both the music and vocally. I hope you liked my review of the album, debut album by Liza. I hope you will continue watching, and please subscribe for new content. I will try and upload as many albums talking about Danish rock albums from my collection. Most of all for people to know about some of these bands that are not very, discussed often on the internet. Maybe at home here in Denmark we will have some old fans from the 70s who's really into this. Not a lot of younger fans, I'm among them, but I make those videos here to kind of let people from outside Denmark know about this stuff as well. And I do those videos here in English, so you will understand. And I hope that you hear something you will like, and maybe you will go out hunting for some Danish records as well. And that means if you're a person from outside Denmark, but also if you are a person here in Denmark that really wants to get into the stuff, I hope you can get something out of the video as well. So please subscribe, and see you next time.